Well, the interim police chief, Mike Sullivan, hopes that the department's new plan will bring down violent crime in Phoenix by 5%.
Since 2017, the department's records show violent crime has increased 8%, driven by a sharp rise in homicides and aggravated assaults. The plan has 4 key strategies, including focusing on areas where crime is already higher.
Today, Team 12's Erica Stapleton got a chance to sit down with Chief Sullivan and ask him what's going to be different. Erica?
Hey guys, we were allotted less than 10 minutes to talk with Chief Sullivan about this plan and tried to see how these proposed changes tie into all the issues the department is facing, from long-term staffing shortages to unsolved murders to a federal investigation. Doing more with less. How do you plan to meet all these strategies when you're down more than 500 officers?
We need to be focused. We need to be efficient with all of our resources that we do have.
Chief Sullivan's new crime reduction plan hones in on 4 key areas to reduce violent crime by 5% and property crime by 8%. The most violent people, the most active places, prohibited possessors, and violent offenders with outstanding warrants. A recent 12 News investigation into gun violence found that only 56% of the city's homicides in 2022 are solved. Is that acceptable to you?
And I'd have to dig into all that data. Certainly, I want to solve every single homicide that's out there. Year to date, what I would tell you is we're down in homicides.
Yet the crime reduction plan details that from 2017 to 2022, homicides increased 39%. Sullivan says they'll be determining the high-volume crime areas by high levels of violence, disorder, and complaints from the community. He says people in those neighborhoods should expect to talk with a commander.
Bring in other city agencies. Look for opportunities that we can change the environment.
It was detailed that performing high-quality initial investigation is part of this action plan. Shouldn't this already be happening?
One of the things that we instituted was a non-fatal shoot team, which we have 10 detectives that are now investigating non-fatal shootings. We weren't doing that before. With the prohibited possessor, with those investigations, that we get folks the training they need, so we make sure that those cases can be brought and we can hold those folks accountable.
Guns getting into the wrong hands.
It's way too easy for criminals to get their hands on guns.
This is amid the DOJ investigation. Is this in any way a response to that?
Crime fighting and reform are not mutually exclusive.
The DOJ investigation started nearly 2 years ago and is still ongoing. It looks at use of force and officer conduct, which is not addressed in this new crime reduction plan. But we did learn today that a draft of the department's new use of force policy should be released by the end of the week.
Erica, throughout the day, we've been asking viewers to weigh in on this, to give their thoughts on how the city should address crime. What are people saying?
Well, let's start with one if we can pull it up here. This is feedback from Deborah in Phoenix that our producer edited for length and clarity. Deborah writes that one area west of the I-17 on Thomas Road is a problem spot, including that a large number of people experiencing homelessness are living there. She adds that she knows the police have their hands tied because of the DOJ investigation and says taxpayers are the victims. Phoenix Police has not identified these zones yet, even though we asked, so we can't say for sure whether this area that, west of the I-17 on Thomas is a hot spot. But from my experience covering the homeless crisis in Phoenix, she's right that there are a lot of people who need help in that neighborhood, and it can contribute to crime. We know from covering the zone, which is the city's largest homeless encampment, that police resources are inundated with calls about homelessness. And when Deborah says their hands are tied, she could be referencing a court decision that prohibits cities from arresting people just for being homeless.